In the news, President Muhammadu Buhari hosts World Trade Organization boss Okonjo-Iweala. Group insists on Steve Ode's candidacy, urges INEC to do the needful. Across Africa, Abdulhamid Dbeibah sworn in as interim Prime Minister of Libya. And in business, Polaris Bank begins payment of 5 naira for every dollar remitted. On the global scene, Beijing hit by worst sandstorm in a decade. And in sports, Rangers win to pile pressure on Kwara United for top spot in Nigeria's Premier Football League. Details shortly. This is TOS Television, your digital first Pan-African news network. I am Abigail Okwade, and this is TOS News 360. President Muhammadu Buhari met with the new Director General of the World Trade Organization, Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. The World Trade Organization Chief Executive Officer, who assumed office on 1st of March, visited Nigeria for the first time since she emerged office as the new DG of the World Trade Organization. The WTO boss, who met with the president at the State House Abuja, encouraged Nigerians on development of industry in the country.
So we should reach that and exceed it. So we're not doing so badly. I believe that Nigeria can compete within the 1.3 billion people market that we have in Africa. And if we're able to export this much into the continent, I think we're able to try more. I don't know about being stifled. You know, competition, after that period in which you've been able to develop your industry, which is available to us under special and differential treatment, we should be able to compete with other countries and even outcompete them in certain areas. We're doing that already, and we should build on that. We have a vast potential. For instance, there's a strong demand for our fashion on the continent, but we've not yet managed to harness it. Can you imagine what could happen if Nigeria was able to do that? So I don't know about being stifled. I think we can leverage on what we have now within the economy, the talent we have to produce more and export more. Do we have to improve our infrastructure to make us more competitive? Absolutely. We have to. But that is not for the outside world, it's for us to improve our infrastructure and logistics. You ask how will the Dangote refinery, which is the largest in the world, impact AFCT, the African Continental Free Trade Area and Africa? Well, it's the largest refinery. I wish we had done it years ago. If we had done it earlier and encouraged Alhaji Dangote, who is doing a very good thing, it would have been better, because by now we would have been able to have our own oil refined here and not having to import.
A civil society organization under the auspices of Network of Democratic Watchdogs of Nigeria has called on every well-meaning Nigerian to rise to the defense of the nation's democracy, in noting that the country's democracy will be highly jeopardized if electioneering process is not marred by corruption, deceit, and bribery, thereby breeding injustice, political instability. I beg your pardon, thereby breeding injustice and political instability in the group. The group made the call this Monday in the nation's capital city, Abuja.
The Cross River North senatorial by-election and the authenticity of Steve Ode's candidacy. The National Coordinator, Network of Democratic Watchdogs of Nigeria, Chijioke Onyekaun, posed some questions to the nation's political empire.
Which party submitted the name of Honorable Jaribe to INEC? That the INEC chairman should retrace his steps immediately in his present action of subversion of justice. We as watchdog of democracy cannot sit down. We cannot sit down and watch democratic principles truncated by anyone, no matter how highly placed.
On his part, human rights advocate Dr. Gabriel Nwambu believes a lot needs to be done in the nation's judicial system.
What we are saying is that Honorable Jaribe did not participate in that election. We wondered why the man is busy junketing from one court to the other. These are courts that does not even have jurisdiction over this matter.
Network of Democratic Watchdogs of Nigeria therefore believes that the election management is the most sensitive in a democratic setting and thus must be shouldered by the umpire and treated as sensitive. Rose Audu, reporting for TOS News, Abuja.
On matters of insecurity, another set of students and teachers have been kidnapped from UBE Primary School in Rama Village in Birnin Gwari local government area of Kaduna State. The kidnapping, which was alleged to have been carried out by bandits, happened on Monday morning while pupils were on their way to school. Eyewitnesses said gunmen came on motorcycles and shot randomly to the air to scare both teachers and the students. Kaduna State government on its part says it is working hard to see the release of those abducted. The Academic Staff Union of Universities has given warnings that it may embark on its recently suspended strike over unpaid salaries. The union said that blames should be directed to the current administration if it decides to resume its suspended strike. Ayo Akinwole Asu, chairman of the University of Ibadan branch, in a statement revealed that lecturers were still owed salaries ranging from 2 to 10 months despite the federal government's promise to meet their demands. This is TOS. This is your digital first Pan-African network, TOS Television. You are watching TOS News 360. Up next, updates on COVID-19 after the break. Just stay tuned. Welcome back. The 5th edition of Technology and Innovation Expo of 2021, organized by the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, took place at Eagle Square in Abuja, the federal capital city of Nigeria. The expo is to run from Monday, March 15 to Friday, March 19. The event had in attendance researchers, inventors, innovators, students, and participants from in and out of Nigeria for the opening ceremony. The theme of this year's expo is Science, Technology and Innovation for Economic Recovery and Sustainability amidst the COVID-19 challenges. The Minister of State for Science and Technology, Mohammed Abdullahi Esquire, in his welcome address appealed to President Muhammadu Buhari to key into the science and technology sector in the Economic Sustainability Program of the federal government to support the informal engineering and technology activities that require federal government's intervention for survival during and post-COVID-19 pandemic. Also, the objective of the expo, he said, is to encourage interested entrepreneurs to commercialize the outcomes of research and development and facilitate the growth of indigenous manufacturing. A speech by Vice President Yemi Oshibajo, who represented President Muhammadu Buhari, spoke on the government's commitment to science and technology.
We are fully committed to the need that this must be the mark for Nigeria as well. We have some of the brightest and best minds in the world in the innovation economy, and I'm convinced that this program can and should be the vanguard of our efforts, not only to foster economic recovery, but to reposition Nigeria entirely as an innovator state.
Dr. Ogbonaya Onu, the Minister of Science and Technology, laid emphasis on the economic benefits of the 2021 Expo.
Create more jobs, create additional wealth, reduce poverty, strengthen the naira, and stimulate growth in the economy. This is the challenge which this expo seeks to confront in the midst of the COVID-19 pandemic.
The first, second, and third position winners of the 774 Young Nigerian Scientists Presidential Award were awarded with scholarships up to PhD level at any government institutions in Nigeria. They spoke on other areas they hoped government will improve on and areas they hope to break through in science and technology. There were displays of various indigenous inventions by Nigerians across all ages.
I think they should organize more such competitions to increase the awareness among students in Nigeria and also create opportunities for art students apart from science students.
Financially, we have to try more. The schools have to pump in more money to schools so that the topics be much more practical instead of just reading books.
The latest figure from Nigeria Center for Disease Control, NCDC, has shown 120 new cases recorded with no COVID-19 related deaths in the last 24 hours. NCDC stated this through its official Twitter handle. From its statement, 685 people have been treated and recovered between Saturday and Sunday. The total number of infections in the country now stands at 160,657 cases, while the number of active cases is 13,245. Still on COVID-19, the Federal Capital Territory Administration, Health and Human Services Secretariat have given a directive that all members of its staff must undergo a compulsory COVID-19 test. It advised workers to submit themselves for the test when told to do so. It was first announced on the 18th of February before a team of FCT health workers were then stationed at the FCTA Secretariat and other designated locations from Monday 1st to Friday 5th of March for the exercises. FCTA Health and Human Services Secretariat also advised Nigerians to take the COVID-19 vaccine to curtail further spread of the virus. You are watching TOS News 360 on your digital First Pan-African News Network. Coming up, stories across Africa and the international scene after the break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. Across Africa, Libya's new Prime Minister Abdulhamid Dbeibah has been sworn in to lead the North African country's transition to elections in December after years of division. Dbeibah was sworn in together with other members of the new unity government parliament in Tobruk city in the eastern Libya. The new Prime Minister took his oath of office as he promised to perform his duties with all honesty and loyalty. Libya has gone into conflict after dictator Muammar Gaddafi was thrown and killed in a NATO-backed uprising in 2011. The dictator's death led to multiple forces vying for power. Last week, the Libyan parliament then granted a vote of confidence to Dbeibah's government with 132 votes of the 133 lawmakers who attended the session. Report has it that a court in Malian capital of Bamako has dropped proceedings against Amadou Sanogo. Amadou Sanogo was a former coup leader who proclaimed himself the leader of the National Committee for Recovering Democracy and Restoring the State. Sanogo was accused of killing 21 elite soldiers in 2012 coup. The court, which did not issue a verdict, also ended proceedings against 15 other defendants, as it pointed a 2019 reconciliation law that gives amnesty or pardon for specific crimes that happened during the 2012 crisis. Now in Somali's National Army elite forces on Monday killed an Al-Shabaab militant and foiled a terror attack during sitting operations in the southern region. The SNA said its forces also blew up a vehicle laden with explosives in Taratoro, an agricultural town in the lower Shabelle region. According to the army, the vehicle laden with explosives was en route to the Somali capital, Mogadishu, and the militants wanted to use it to carry out attacks on unspecified locations in the restive season. The army said the sitting military operations were carried out following intelligence information that Al-Shabaab militants were planning a suicide attack in the country. On the global scene, China's capital, Beijing, was covered in thick dust on Monday as it experienced what has been called the worst sandstorm in a decade. The storm caused an unprecedented spike in air pollution measurements, with pollution levels in some districts at 160 times the recommended limit. Hundreds of flights were cancelled or grounded as the sky was covered by an apocalyptic-looking orange haze. The sand is being brought in by strong winds from Inner Mongolia. Schools have been told to cancel outdoor events, and those with respiratory diseases advised to stay indoors. On Monday, thousands of Australian women took to the streets wearing black and holding signs reading "Enough is enough" to protest against violence and discrimination against women as a reckoning in the country's halls of power, sparked by multiple accusations of rape, continues to grow. The protest spread across 40 cities from the east of Sydney, Melbourne and Canberra to smaller towns across the country, with protesters all wearing black as a mark of anger against the government, with a major demonstration in Canberra following allegations of sexual assaults in the nation's parliament. The March for Justice is demanding a raft of measures, including independent investigation into all cases, gendered violence, a boost in public funding for prevention, and the implementation of recommendations from a 2020 national inquiry into sexual harassment at work. You are watching TOS News 360 on your digital First Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. Up next, business and sports. Thank you for staying tuned. In business, Polaris Bank said it has started implementation of the regulatory Central Bank of Nigeria's extra 5 naira for every dollar received in domiciliary accounts or as cases over the counter. This was announced in a statement on Monday titled "Polaris Bank pays extra 5 naira for every dollar remitted to Nigeria." This had been announced via their Twitter handle on 7th of March. The acting manager, director, chief executive officer, Polaris Bank, Mr. Innocent Ike, explained that the decision was in line with the CBN's directive and fully aligned with efforts to encourage the inflow of diaspora remittances in the country. The banker described the CBN Naira for Dollar scheme as an unprecedented inventive for senders and recipients of international money transfers, noting that the scheme, which took effect from 8th of March, will run until 8th May of this year. The crypto market is losing altitude at the first trading session of the week amid weak buying pressure from wealthy entities. In the crypto future markets for the day, 179,741 traders were liquidated. The largest single liquidation order happened in Huobi BTC value of $18.94 million. Crypto pundits anticipate prices are likely to plunge into the short term with many inflow transactions to all crypto exchanges. The total volume in DeFi is currently $12.43 billion, 8.43% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. The volume of all stable coins is now $115.79 billion, which is 78.58% of the total crypto market 24-hour volume. Bitcoin's dominance is currently 61.37%, a decrease of 0.71% over the day. According to the released labor force report published by the National Bureau of Statistics, Nigeria's unemployment rate as at the end of 2020 rose to 33.3 from 27.1 recorded as of the second quarter of 2020, indicating that about 23 million people remained unemployed. Underemployment rate in the reference period, however, dropped from 28.6% recorded as the second quarter of 2020 to 22.8% in the fourth quarter of 2020. The report shows that the estimated number of persons in the economically active or working age population, which is 15 to 64 years of age, during the reference period of the survey of the fourth quarter of 2020 was 122,049,400 persons. This is News 360 on your digital First Pan-African News Network. Up next, entertainment and sports. Welcome back. You are watching TOS News 360. Still on the Grammy Awards, Minister of Information and Culture Alhaji Lai Mohammed congratulated Wizkid and Burna Boy in a statement signed by Segun Adeyemi, Special Assistant to the President of the Media. He said that the Grammy Award won by the duo is a global endorsement for Nigerian music industry. In his congratulatory message, he said this will serve as a source of inspiration to others. He described the much-deserved award as fitting reward for their persistent hard work. And in sport, Rangers International defeated bottom-place Adamawa United 1-0 to pile on the pressure of NPFL leaders Kwara United, who barely held on top spot after a scoreless draw at home with Heartland. Both Kwara United and Rangers have 27 points from 15 matches, but the Kwara team stay top by virtue of their better goal difference. However, the Flying Antelopes needed a late goal by Chinonso Ebekwe to subdue Adamawa United to the Cathedral in Enugu. And that is TOS News 360 on your digital first Pan-African news network, TOS Television. For more updates, visit TOS TV at www.tostvnetwork.com. Do follow and like TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And remember to subscribe on YouTube. Do stay with us and enjoy more programs on TOS TV Network. I am Abigail Okwade. Thanks for watching.
As a continent are now